Sorare 26 has taken fantasy football to a whole new level. Since the kickoff of the season, it has been thoroughly a football party. But we're about a third of the way through the season right now, and there is so many amazing cards available for fantasy football to win thousands of pounds, euros, dollars, whatever your currency is, every weekend. And with so many players now available at such a great price point, it's at that sweet spot of the season now where picking up this game and getting into the deep end and getting some success really quickly is really affordable. And in the video today, I'll be looking at if I started playing Sorare today, the exact squad, the exact lineup I would be buying and getting involved in. I've been working on this video for about a month or so. We've did a bunch of live streams scouring all the major leagues and competitions in Sorare, looking at where is the most optimal place, the best points per pound, the best bang for buck to build a team, attack the hot streaks, attack the leaderboards, and ultimately, by the time the season is finished, pick up the most amount of cash with spending as little as possible at any point in the video today as we kick off this next branch of the Road to Glory series. If you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And if you're brand new to Sorare and you've not even opened up your account yet, there's a link in the description in this video that will get you $150, pounds, euros, again whatever your currency is, of market credit to help you go out and buy your team. So any of the in-season cards that I buy in the video today, especially if you were to buy them from auction or instant buy, you would actually get half price on them, up to a value of 150, whatever's, which is incredible. Because as you'll see from the builds and the options we've got here, our budget to get the squad, the whole roster built, is around the £100 mark. And to get the first squad up and running in the video today, we might not even break the £50 mark. So a huge amount of credit available for anyone that signs up. By clicking on that link, you do support me and all the content here at the channel. So if you do get stuck, or if you've got any questions, just jump into the comment section and I'll help you out. And all the beginner tutorial videos that you'll need to kind of learn the ropes and cut your teeth with are also linked in the description of the video as well. But yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it, because like I mentioned, this is a branch of the Road to Glory series that we've got here on the channel. I kicked this off with the biggest and most covered league in the world, the Premier League. Now, this Road to Glory series I built from match day one, from early access, to get, into the Premier League from the first match day of the season and try and, be as successful as possible. But for match day one, cards are at peak price. You get the full season of utility. There's not as many of them available because, more come out as the season goes on, so on and so forth. And this Road to Glory team, as you can see with the names of the squads that I've built for it, and there's maybe another couple of players in the depth that don't make the lineups, it's about £225, quite a considerable chunk. And I've only hit a couple of rewards with this. I've not really made too much headway in winning that back so far. The Nottingham Forest spine has been my main problem. Sunderland have been cool, Everton have been fine, and the combinations of everything. Lamens is now in the Man United team, maybe that adds something, yada yada. So it's been okay. But the Premier League, even now, as you'll see with some of the stuff we look at in the video, the price point of players is at a really good point right now because of just more of them being available, games have been played in the season, etc. But the Premier League is a very hard league to nail those combinations in with, and you could start playing the Premier League today on a very similar budget to what I'm going to use for what I think is the best one to pick up with today, by all means. But just buyer beware when it comes to the Premier League, that it is an unforgiving league. There's so much parity across the division that getting favourable matchups and getting a good run of fixtures where you can kind of bank on a couple of core players can be quite tough. Probably the toughest league to do it in. The second branch of Road to Glory that we started with this year was with La Liga, and it was actually with a very similar approach to the video we've got today, but it was after maybe the first 2 or 3 matches of the season when there was that first kind of movement down in price. And at first this strategy was quite eclectic. It was lots of individual players from different squads that had good fixtures, and we actually did kind of well quite quickly in La Liga, but so many of the players that we got injured and just were write-offs. And then with the special edition cards that came out after the cards were been able to be revealed from their early access status come September, I just ended up degenning a strategy, and I just went full in again on Sociedad, and I just got as many of the special editions as I could possibly get my hands on. I've still got 2 or 3 to go and pick up across the way, but this strategy cost about £100 or so, and having done this later in the season and then picking up the special editions even further later on there, I've got, like a lot of these cards were like £2 and £3, and to get a whole squad out, I do think this is an interesting strategy move where really it doesn't matter what the starting 11 is. I should have 1 or 2 teams that get enough starters, and then we're just crossing our fingers on who catches, the goals and assists, that sort of thing. We've got different goalkeepers, fine, but I just think this is a nice strategy demonstration as well in its own way, and it allows me to kind of give into a little bit of the degen in me, where I just want to buy shiny cool cards. And I really do like the squad. Like, I think there's so many players in this squad. Maybe there's a squad out there in world football you feel similarly about. That just every card, even like a few of them that don't make these squads as well, like Sucic and Zakarian, wonder kid types as it were. Like, I really am quite happy to own all of these cards. So that means the other contenders that we had for this was France Ligue 1. We also have the German Bundesliga. We have the Eredivisie, the Jupiler Pro League, and then the Contender region on Sorare. Now, the Contender region is made up of all of the second tier leagues of the top 5 in Europe, if that makes sense, as well as like Croatia's in there. And then there's a lot of stuff from like around the world, Japan, Brazil, you know, all that kind of stuff. So quite a far stretching region. The rest of them are all league specific ones. We did a lot of streams on the channel, which again there'll be a link in the description if you want to go back and see any of the in-depth scouting on any of this. But we looked at the Bundesliga, France, Contender, the Eredivisie and the Belgian League in high detail. We launched a video earlier this week asking for your thoughts, feelings and opinions, and really the consensus I'm getting from picking up the Belgian League is it is quite an unforgiving division in the sense of like some guys can be wildly good. The price of the cards are very, very affordable, but nailing those combinations of 5 players that score well enough, especially as we get higher up the food chain, can be quite tricky. Holland is a little bit easier in that regard, but it is still a case of there's enough dominant teams in the division where, again, fixture patterns can be quite hard to nail down. And even some of the guys, as you can see from the little scoring profiles we've got here, that can score well, getting consistency is and forecastability isn't particularly too easy. Now, out of all of these regions, the Belgians and Holland is above Belgium ever so slightly, but Contender is the bottom of the pile in terms of the payout potential, and the price per card here of the ones that were good enough for us to ID is the highest on average and overall. But this is very much a division where consistency of high results, you can kind of find it. There is smashers in these divisions that, yeah, they don't rip every week, but like as you can see with Tardo and a bunch of these other guys, they can string 3, 4, 5 performances together, or even, like 6 over 10 games, like Vukotic here. There's a lot of, I don't want to say certainty, but again, reliability is probably a good word for this one. So even though the payout is less, the point of entry is a little bit higher, the kind of certainty of outcome might be a little bit more within our grasp. Now, Bundesliga and France get paid better than all the other competitions that we've looked at. They get paid the same as La Liga and the Premier League. So again, if you wanted to go into any of these divisions, it's the same payout structure for all of them. And between these two divisions, it might just be a little bit of me and my kind of history with fantasy football and these types of games and just football viewing in general. I love the Bundesliga. I'm a big fan of the Bundesliga, and a lot of the players that we ID'd on this, like, price per card is very, very favourable. Now, Bayern Munich, of course, reigns supreme in the divisional aspect of the game on Sorare, but a big part of this will be going down for the hot streaks, where as long as you hit a set target, you're guaranteed a payout, and if you string them along 5 game weeks consecutively, it gets pretty chunky, it gets into the thousands, which is exactly where we want it to be. And when we look at the price of a lot of these cards, again, around the £10 or less mark, maybe 15 for some of the better ones, then this is, for me, a very attractive point of entry. Now, I've kind of went ahead and looked at a lot of the fixtures that we've got for a lot of the individuals here. One of the things that's really attractive about the Bundesliga to me is that the price of the goalkeepers for in-season is very appealing. You do have this kind of upper echelon. We've got Manuel Neuer at the top is £50, Gregor Kobel alongside him, and then Galashi at 23. But really, outside of those two guys, everyone else is £15 or less, very affordable, and offers their own kind of, benefits, pros and cons, as it were. And the goalkeeper I'm going to add in is Kamil Grabara. Now, I'm a bit of a sucker for a Polish goalie, as you might imagine, and regular viewers of the channel will be well aware of. Wolfsburg have been none too bad this year. His L5, his scores don't look particularly great, but this is a good goalkeeper, and with the fixture strength that Wolfsburg have coming up, I think this is a keeper that is £6. He can get enough of the good scores that we're going to need in this period of time. And the goalkeepers, as we can see from the way that a lot of them score, like Bauman's got a nice little kind of, looks like a kind of signal bar there, doesn't it, on a phone? Some of that is internationals. But as you can see in the division of the Bundesliga itself, goalkeepers aren't always ripping huge, massive scores. Galashi, again, one of the more premium scorers. It's a kind of a 41 or a 68, maybe an 85 type situation. And again, Kobel, none particularly too good. Neuer has the benefit of being at Bayern, and they're just maybe a bit more friendly to clean sheets, but even he can bring in a 44 quite easily. And really, goalkeepers in general in fantasy football, especially a game like Sorare, are basically random number generators. They don't really have too much control over their scoring profile and, how good they can have a game if the defence are leaky or they don't get many touches of the ball. But Grabara is a guy that, having seen a good bit of him over the, I don't want to say over the years, he's not been around that long, but knowing what type of goalkeeper he is, he does have AA where he is going to get into the high 40s if he doesn't deliver a clean sheet, which means that when he does, it really does spike away. And with the upcoming fixtures he's got, I fancy he's got a good chance of having a better L5 than the one he's got. It's £6. It's not really a thing about price because there's a lot of other players around a similar level. I'm kind of taking a personal preference on that one. Now, this watch list that I've made by scouting players across the league and trying to ID ones that are at a good price and have a good scoring profile that I want to tap into is going to be like, it's like being Santa. You make a list, you check it once, you check it twice, and this will be something I'll refer back to maybe alternate some players or watch out for lineup forecasts on a week-to-week basis. But having gone through this with a slightly finer tooth comb, Borussia Dortmund have got a fantastic next run of fixtures in the league, and this is a team that I think I want to make sure we've got a strong footprint in. Now, Dortmund can be quite a difficult team to forecast, so it's about picking out the best scorers that are forecastable. And an in-season Rami Bensebaini, who again is a player I'm very familiar with and been a big fan of, and this is a guy that from left centre-back in a back three gets a lot of attacking AA and can be very decisive capable. At under £10 feels like an absolute no-brainer for me. Now, Julian Brandt is on the list, but actually looking at all the Borussia Dortmund midfielders, the one that's the most reliable to play, particularly in the Bundesliga itself, is Marcel Sabitzer. Now, the scores aren't always fantastic here, but I think Dortmund are going to go on a good run of fixtures, particularly in the Bundesliga. I think Sabitzer will play, and I think Sabitzer's got a really good chance of scoring extremely well. Now, forward is an oddly difficult position to fill because I essentially have a straight choice here between getting an in-season Andre Kramaric, who will take on Heidenheim in the first week for £12, or going and getting a classic Luis Diaz. And now, the thing that makes this so appealing is Luis Diaz is pretty much the cheapest way into the Bayern attack, and as much as it's all about Harry Kane and Michael Olise getting goals and assists and everything else, Luis Diaz is going to get into the act, is already starting to get in on the act, and having a presence in the Bayern Munich attack just feels like something that we really need to have in a strategy like this. And at £25 as the most expensive player so far into the team, I think we're going to get fantastic, bang for buck points per pound out of Luis Diaz in the forward position. The reason that's extra tough is because now we've used up the only classic position that we have available to us in the one team that we're going to be building to get this kicked off, which means there's no room for a classic David Rom, or even who I was kind of eyeing up myself, a classic Schlotterbeck potentially. And then I've basically got a straight decision, I believe, for this first set of the build, for a set piece taken midfielder like Max Arnold, or a set piece taken forward in Andre Kramaric. Both of them have got good games this weekend in particular. One is home, one is away. But I'm going to choose Max Arnold because it just feels like even if he doesn't get as decisive, the floor of his scoring profile will just help us out a little bit more than perhaps maybe Kramaric is. Now, at home at Heidenheim, we shouldn't really be thinking about the floor. This is maybe a bit more of a ceiling match where he could be multi-decisive potentially. And yeah, that's why I do have pause for the cause. Both essentially the exact same price. You can let me know in the comment section what choice you would make here. But at home to Heidenheim, I think I need to take Kramaric. Hoffenheim versus Heidenheim just feel it's going to be goals galore, and if that is the case, big Kramaric should be right in amongst it. Now, over the next kind of couple of weeks with the fixtures the way they roll out, a player like Max Arnold, maybe even a different classic player if I was to bring in an in-season forward like a Jonathan Burkhardt, who I also think actually has a great run of fixtures, but with his profile being a bit more of that fox-in-the-box striker where with one goal or assist he's not really going to get into those upper scores, I don't think he really jumps into the priority to get into the build from the start. Now, this team cost me £51 and 45 pence. There is a Bundesliga Duo Connect mission on this weekend, so if you're already playing Sorare, you've not played Bundesliga Limited yet, and you're watching this video before the game week that we've seen is about to be played, if you click on the Team Quinny, the link that will be there for the Bundesliga Duo Connect, and you hit a score of 380 points, which this team, I've prepped it should be hot to trot, ready to roll. It could pay for itself in one game week, which would be absolutely fantastic. And this goes for anyone that's brand new as well, so if you are brand new and you sign up today as well, make sure it also also click on this link and get involved in the Bundesliga one if you actually buy a Bundesliga team, or even if you just straight out copy the team that I've built here. But this will be my first week playing Bundesliga in season with the limited cards, and we'll be starting off in Division 3 where the top prize is $80, where it basically could pay for itself if we win the division. And even if we finished into the top 50, it would represent a significant percentage of ROI in the first game week. But as long as we hit a score of 360 points, doesn't matter where we finish on the leaderboard, we're going to get essentially 10% back in the first game week. We're going to get $5. If we can hit 380 next week, we get up to 15. And if we can hit the 400, bang! Initial squad paid for, and the strategy is then rolling on for the rest of the season. And maybe with some of the skim that will be on top of this, if we get to the first 3 streaks, or when we get to the first 3 streaks, we can use that money to reinvest and bring in some other options. Now, we're slightly over the cap, so there's no cap bonus available to us this weekend, which is fine, because I think the scores we're going to be bringing will be damaging enough. But because of the way we've built this, we get access to the multi-club bonus, which means all of our points get an additional 2% bonus on top. I'm going to go for Captain Luis Diaz. It feels like Bayern away to Mönchengladbach, who are in 18th at the moment, could be a great multi-decisive game for someone like Diaz. And again, back in Bayern Munich is just a little bit safer than back in Hoffenheim. So I would maybe put Kramaric in with a good shout of being captain as well. Bensebaini and Sabitzer should smash into the 70 point, 80 point mark if we get what we're thinking about here. And Grabara being away to Hamburg, you know, if he can bring in a wee 58, a wee 52 from goalkeeper, that would be fantastic. If he brings in a clean sheet, even better. But I think for a £50 team, the points per pound and really the reliability of the Bundesliga to deliver decisives, to deliver goals and assists and penalty won and clearances off the line and all the other stuff that goes into the game is quite well set. Whereas, you know, every other region has it as well, don't get me wrong. But the Bundesliga is very high octane, very goal orientated, and it's just been very friendly, I think, for a lot of other Sorare managers that have already been playing the Bundesliga so far. And it feels like already this has the potential to be the best points per pound, the best ROI stream of the Road to Glory series that we've got, mainly because of the very cheap entry point. Because again, comparing it to what I've spent already in the Premier League and in La Liga, compared to what's been captured and won already, the Bundesliga is starting as a little £50 RTG with the level of power, you know, the grade, the calibre, the quality of the player that we've got in for that budget far exceeds the value that we've had from, you know, just our money with the other teams that we've built. Yeah, we've got good teams, we've had to be cute, whereas with the Bundesliga, we are quite firmly, you know, we've got a Bayern Munich striker, we've got a Borussia Dortmund core, and then we've got some fun players from across the league that have got a decent fixture lookout, very good price point, and a decent track record of being able to deliver the scores that we're after. Let me know how you think that this is going to get on for the game week it's been displayed. If you're watching this after the game week has been and gone, on screen there now will be some other videos that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy, so you might be able to even see how this has panned out after a couple of weeks, because I do plan on coming back to this as like a standalone video and looking at it across the first 5 game weeks. You know, how did we fare from trying to look at the fixtures and trying to be cute on the points per pound, and, you know, could there have been another route to success somewhere that we maybe missed out on? If you haven't done so already, hit like and subscribe and all that other good stuff, guys. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section on the strategy, what you would do, how you think I've done, and everything else in between. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one.